What do you do when you build a race car that is too fast? I do not mean just a little quicker. I mean so much faster that the rules of the sport have to be rewritten just to stop you. Well, in 1968, Chrysler did exactly that. They did not just build a new drag car. They unleashed a monster so brutal and so dominant that the NHRA had no choice but to regulate it out of existence. This is the story of the 426 Hemi Dart, the car that was, quite literally, too fast to race. The late 1960s was the golden age of American muscle, and nowhere was that battle for supremacy more ferocious than on the drag strip. It was a high-octane war fought every weekend by the Big Three: Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler. Winning on Sunday meant selling on Monday wasn't just a saying, it was the law of the land. And every manufacturer was desperate for an edge. In the popular superstock classes, Ford had its Cobra Jet Mustang and General Motors was always a threat. Chrysler had an ace up its sleeve. The monstrous 426 cubic inch Hemi engine, an absolute legend on the street and a terror on the track. But there was a problem. While the Hemi was a world beater, Chrysler's intermediate cars, like the Charger and Coronet, were heavy. They were powerful, sure, but they were giving up precious pounds to the competition. Chrysler's engineers, a group of genuine mad scientists, knew they had the ultimate weapon. They just needed a smaller, lighter delivery system. They needed to put that 7.0-liter elephant of an engine into their compact featherweight A-body platform, the Dodge Dart. There was just one massive roadblock: Chrysler's own internal policy. The gargantuan 426 Hemi was not supposed to be installed in the little A-body cars. It was too big, too powerful, and the engineering required was considered too extreme for a production vehicle. But engineers are innovators. If a rule stands in your way, you find a loophole. The plan was as simple as it was brilliant. Chrysler would not technically build and sell a complete Hemi Dart from their own factory. Instead, they built incomplete Dart GTS hardtops at their Hamtramck, Michigan plant. These cars rolled off the line as primered shells with no engine and no transmission, just waiting for a soul. Those shells were then shipped to an official partner, Hurst Performance. Away from Chrysler's main factory floor, the legendary shifter company would perform the forbidden transplant. They did what Chrysler officially could not do. They shoehorned the fire-breathing 426 Hemi into the lightweight Dart. It was a masterful end run around corporate policy, a plan to unleash a monster by outsourcing its creation. What arrived at Hurst were donor bodies, but what left was something else entirely. Coded LO-23, these were not just cars, they were weapons-grade drag racers. The transformation was radical. To meet the NHRA's super stock weight requirements, the Dart had to go on an extreme diet. The standard steel hood and front fenders were ripped off and replaced with lightweight fiberglass pieces. The new hood featured a massive functional scoop that looked like it could swallow birds from the sky, all to feed air to the monster lurking beneath. The side window glass was replaced with thinner, lighter versions. The heavy crank mechanisms were thrown out and replaced by a simple seatbelt strap to pull the window up. The interior was gutted with surgical precision. There was no back seat, no center console, no heater, no radio, and no sound-deadening material. Even the carpets and armrests were tossed aside. The standard front seats were swapped for lightweight bucket seats from a Dodge A100 van, which offered virtually no side support because where this car was going, you only needed to worry about going straight. All said and done, the Hemi Dart tipped the scales at just around 3,000 pounds. And then came the heart. This was not some detuned street Hemi. This was the full, fat race spec 426 Hemi, complete with a cross-ram aluminum intake manifold and two massive 4-barrel Holley carburetors. While Chrysler conservatively rated it at 425 horsepower, everyone knew the real figure was well north of 500, especially after racers worked their magic. These cars were sold through dealerships with a disclaimer that they were for supervised acceleration trials only, and they came with no warranty. This was Chrysler's way of saying they built a monster, and what you do with it is your problem. When the 1968 Hemi Darts and their sister cars, the Plymouth Barracudas, hit the nation's drag strips, the competition was not just beaten, it was annihilated. These cars were running deep into the 10-second quarter-mile range right out of the box, a speed that was simply mind-bending for a factory car in 1968. Racers like Dick Landy and Bob Lambeck became legends overnight. At Orange County International Raceway, a Hemi Dart was clocked running a blistering pass in the low 10-second range at over 130 miles per hour. With a few tweaks, some drivers were pushing these cars into the high 9-second range. They were running times faster than supercars built decades later. They were a force of nature. In the 1968 NHRA Superstock season, it was practically a given that the final round would be a Hemi Dart versus a Hemi Barracuda. They won the prestigious NHRA US Nationals and dominated the SSB class they were built for. Ford and GM had no answer. Chrysler had not just brought a knife to a gunfight, they had brought a tactical nuke. The story of how Chrysler and Hearst pulled this off is the kind of underdog tale we love to tell. If you love stories about engineering genius and racing rebellion, make sure you're subscribed, because we have plenty more coming. The NHRA now had a serious problem. The Hemi Dart, while technically a production vehicle you could order from a dealer, was making a mockery of the superstock class. It was a purpose-built race car masquerading as a production model, and its advantage was so absolute it threatened to kill the competition entirely. So the sanctioning body acted. But it was not some dramatic public spectacle. There was no press conference where they pointed a finger and yelled, "You are banned." It was quieter, more clinical, and way more effective. After the Dart's complete domination of the 1968 season, the NHRA simply rewrote the rulebook. They started moving the goalposts. New regulations were introduced that added weight penalties based on an engine's factored horsepower, which they adjusted upward for the Hemi. Classes were restructured, and rules were changed to penalize cars with massive power to weight advantages. Suddenly, the Dart's greatest strength, a huge engine in a tiny car, became its biggest liability. It was handicapped out of contention. The NHRA did not ban the car itself. They banned what made it special. They outlawed its success, effectively paving the way for the new Pro Stock category in 1970. The NHRA move should have been the end of the story. Instead, it was the beginning of a legend. By trying to regulate the Hemi Dart out of competition, the NHRA accidentally made it immortal. Only about 80 of these Dodge Hemi Darts were ever built. That extreme rarity, combined with a history of being so dominant it had to be outlawed, has turned the LO23 Dart into a holy grail for Mopar collectors. Finding one today is a rare event, and when they come up for auction, they command prices well over $200,000, sometimes much more for cars with a documented racing history. But these cars are not just museum pieces. In a perfect twist of irony, the car that was too fast for 1968 is still tearing up the drag strip today. The Dodge Hemi Challenge, held annually at the NHRA US Nationals, features a special class almost exclusively for these 1968 Hemi Darts and Barracudas. More than half a century later, they are still doing exactly what they were built to do: wage war, a quarter mile at a time. In 1968, Chrysler set out to build a car that could win. Instead, they built a car so perfect for its mission, so utterly and violently dominant, that the very sport it was designed for had to change its rules. just to survive. The 1968 Hemi Dart was not just a car, it was a statement. It was a 10-second middle finger to the competition and a challenge to the rule makers. And it leaves you with a question. Is it cheating to be too good, or is it pure genius? Let us know what you think in the comments below.